Hello everyone, I am Professor Anish Vora and I welcome you all in our new video lecture. In today's video lecture, we will study about specific magnetic loading, specific electric loading, its significance in designing, as well as some of the factors which influence the choice of a specific magnetic as well as specific electric loading. But before we start studying about specific magnetic and specific electric loading, let us see how significant it is during designing. So we start with output equation. In previous lecture we have derived equation for output, and we know that output equation for synchronous alternator, that is Q is the KVA rating of the synchronous alternator, is equal to CO, that is output coefficient, multiplied by D square L. D square L, that is the volume of the synchronous alternator. D and L are main dimension, and multiplied by synchronous speed in revolution per second. So as per this equation, we can derive the equation that D square L is equal to Q divided by CO and NS, that is synchronous speed in RPS. So for any given rating of the synchronous alternator, we know that volume, D square L is a volume. Volume is inversely proportional to the output coefficient and synchronous speed. Now during design, one of the main parameter that is in mind of designer is to reduce the size and cost of the machine at the same time without compromising any of the performance parameter of the machine. And mainly we have efficiency, because nowadays we design all the machines highly energy efficient. So to reduce the size and cost of the machine, it is very obvious that we have to reduce our volume, and volume is D square L. Now from this equation we can see that D square L is inversely proportional to output coefficient and synchronous speed. So what exactly our output equation indicates? So now we have size of the machine. The volume of the machine D square L is reduced if designed for higher speed, thus decreasing the size and cost of the machine. So it is inversely proportional to synchronous speed also. So if we design for higher speed, then size of the machine and obviously cost of the machine can be reduced. But to increase the speed, we have certain mechanical constraints, and designer normally design with maximum possible speed. So obviously with the speed, increase in the speed, we can decrease the size and cost of the machine. The next parameter, that is output coefficient. So let us see how it affects the size of the machine. The larger the value of output coefficient, the smaller is the size of the machine. So again it is inversely proportional. So if we go for larger value of the output coefficient, then size of the machine will be smaller and cost will be reduced. But now again we have to study output coefficient and how it affects, or which parameter affects the output coefficient. So let us study output coefficient. Output coefficient, we know that CO, that is equal to 1.11 multiplied by pi square multiplied by BAV multiplied by AC multiplied by KW multiplied by 10 raised to minus 3, where BAV and AC, that is specific magnetic loading, and AC, that is specific electric loading. So from the equation we can see that output coefficient is directly proportional to specific magnetic as well as specific electric loading. So if we want to design our machine with a higher output coefficient, meaning is we have to increase either specific magnetic loading or specific electric loading or both specific loading, then we can increase the output coefficient. BAV, that is a average flux density, and it is known as specific magnetic loading, and AC, that is specific electric loading. So output coefficient is directly proportional to both the specific magnetic loading. So let us see how it affects the size of the machine. Output coefficient is larger if machine is designed at a higher specific magnetic and electric loading, which ultimately results into the reduction of size and cost of the machine. So it is very obvious that if we want to increase the output coefficient, then we have to increase either of the specific loading or both specific loading. But now our study of today's video lecture start from this point, that what exactly specific loadings are. So we'll define specific loading and what are the constraints to increase the specific magnetic or specific electric loading. So we'll study some of the factors which really influence the choice of specific loadings. So let us define what exactly we mean by specific magnetic loading. Specific magnetic loading can be defined as the average value of flux density over the whole surface of air gap. So mathematically it can be written as average flux density, that is normally we call it specific magnetic loading. So total flux in the air gap, we have stator and we have rotor normally in any of the rotating machine, and in between we have air gap. So total flux in the air gap and divided by area of the flux path in the air gap, that is known as the specific magnetic loading. It can be written as P5. P5 is total magnetic loading. So P is the number of pole and flux is total flux per pole. So it is total magnetic loading and divided by pi d, that is our circumference of the air gap at the air gap, and multiplied by gross length. So P5 divided by pi dl, and that is our specific magnetic loading. Same way we can define specific electric loading also. So specific electric loading can be defined as the number of stator ampere conductor per meter of stator periphery at the air gap. So it is known as a specific electric loading, and mathematically it can be written as AC is equal to total stator ampere conductor divided by stator periphery at the air gap. So again it can be written as AC is equal to IZ, that is total current passing through each conductor, multiplied by Z. So Z is total number of armature conductor. So IZ and Z, that product is known as total electric loading and divided by circumference. So pi d, and then it is known as specific electric loading. Now we'll study some of the factors which influence the choice of specific magnetic loading. Previously we have studied that the maximum value of specific magnetic loading, if chosen, then definitely size and cost of the machine can be reduced. But really we can choose specific magnetic loading as higher as we want, So the question that some of the constraints for selecting our specific magnetic loading. So we'll study some of the factors like iron losses, magnetizing current, voltage, transient short circuit current, stability of the machine, and parallel operation. These are some of the factors which we have to study before choosing the appropriate value of specific magnetic loading. So let us study one by one. So if we go for iron losses, if we design our machine with a higher specific magnetic loading, then flux density in all the iron parts, that is in stator core and stator teeth, will be higher. And if flux density is higher in all the iron parts, then iron losses will be higher. So if iron losses are higher, the consequences are that efficiency will be drastically reduced. So efficiency will be very less, and at the same time temperature rise will be more. So if temperature rise is more, we have to design with appropriate insulating material, or we have to provide better cooling condition. So this is iron losses and temperature rise is one of the main constraint while choosing our specific magnetic loading. Then magnetizing current. Again, if we design with a higher specific magnetic loading, then we require more magnetomotive force to pass the flux through the air gap, and obviously magnetizing current will be more. So if magnetizing current is more, it affects the power factor, and as well as there is a possibility that some of the parts, iron parts, goes into saturation. So saturation possibility increase. But in case of synchronous alternator, magnetizing current is not much an issue because we provide DC excitation in the synchronous alternator. But again, we have to take care about magnetizing current. Then our next point, that is voltage. If the design is such that we have higher voltage or machine is with higher voltage, then space required for the insulation. We know that insulation depends on the level of voltage. So space for insulation will be higher. If insulation occupies more space, then the space for the iron or space for teeth will reduce. And if space is less available for the iron parts, then we cannot design that machine with a higher magnetic loading. So when machine is with higher voltage, it is recommended that we go for a small value of specific magnetic loading. Then our next point, that is a transient short circuit current. So if we go for a reduced specific magnetic loading, and if flux density is less, we know that leakage reactance will increase. And in case of short circuit current, we know that short circuit current is restricted by only a leakage reactance of the machine. So if leakage reactance is high, then short circuit current will be reduced. So this is one of the advantage of selecting less specific magnetic loading. So our next point is stability. Before we go further, in case of stability, let us understand that under steady state condition, maximum power, that is P max, that is equal to product of V and E and divided by XS, where V is terminal voltage, E is excitation voltage, and XS, that is synchronous reactance. So this maximum power or this power is important for system to generate to have a very high steady state stability. And from the equation we know that maximum power is inversely proportional to the synchronous reactance. So synchronous reactance is very important, and the less the synchronous reactance, we have higher the value of power generated by the system. So now again, if we go for a higher value of specific magnetic loading, then flux per pole will be higher, and as a consequence we require lesser number of turns per pole or per phase, and we know that synchronous reactance, that is directly proportional to the square of the number of turns per phase. So if number of turns are less, then obviously synchronous reactance will be less, and we know that maximum power generated, that is inversely proportional to the synchronous reactance, and hence maximum power will be higher. If maximum power generated is higher, then we know that capability for the steady state stability will be again more. Our next point, that is a parallel operation. The satisfactory parallel operation of synchronous generator is dependent upon the synchronizing power. The higher the synchronizing power, the higher the capability of the system to keep the machine in synchronism. Now we know that all the synchronous alternator, if it is not providing a load to the isolated load, all of the machines are connected in parallel, and to remain in synchronism for all the machines, that is very important, and that depends upon the synchronizing power. And synchronizing power, now we know that it is inversely proportional to the synchronous reactance. So again, synchronous reactance is very important. So if we design for a higher specific magnetic loading, then synchronous reactance will be less, and we know that power generated, that is inversely proportional to the synchronous reactance, and the power generated will be higher. And so stability during parallel operation or synchronizing capacity of the system, that is increased. So these are some of the parameters. Some of the parameter indicates that a higher specific magnetic loading is recommended. At the same time, some of the parameters, some of the factors saying that higher specific magnetic loading is not recommended. So now it is up to designer, that designer has to select appropriate value of the specific magnetic loading. Typical values of the specific magnetic loading can be such that we have turbo alternator. Then in case of turbo alternator, we can go up to 0.54 to 0.65 Weber per meter square average flux density, that is our specific magnetic loading. While in case of salient pole type of machine, we can go for 0.52 to 0.65 Weber per meter square. So same way we can go for certain factors which affect the choice of specific electric loading, like temperature rise, voltage, size of the machine, current density, synchronous reactance, and stray load losses. So we'll study one by one all the parameters. We start with the temperature rise. So temperature rise and copper losses increase if we design our machine with a higher specific electric loading, then obviously copper losses will be more. If copper losses are higher, efficiency will reduce, and at the same time there will be a more temperature rise. So we have to provide better cooling condition, and at the same time we have to go for a better class of insulation if we go for a higher specific electric loading. Then next point, that is the voltage. If machine is designed with a higher voltage, space for the insulation, that is a requirement is more, and less space is available for the copper, and in this condition higher specific electric loading cannot be recommended. So for a higher voltage type of machine, we go for less value of specific electric loading. Then size of the machine. If diameter, size, that is diameter, if diameter is more, we have depth of the slot, that is also increased. And in this condition, we can go with a higher value of specific electric loading. So higher value is permissible if we go for a larger design, a larger diameter. So if size of the machine increase, we obviously can go for a higher specific electric loading. Then our next point, that is a current density. If we go for higher value of specific electric loading, the limiting value of specific electric loading is fixed by maximum allowable temperature rise and the cooling coefficient. A higher value of specific electric loading can be used in a machine which employs lower current density in the conductor. So current density should be less when we go for higher specific electric loading. Then stray load losses. If we design a machine with a higher value of specific electric loading, and the stray load loss is directly proportional to the specific electric loading, and steep rise can be observed in the stray load loss when we go for higher specific electric loading. Our next point, that is synchronous reactance. If we design a machine with a higher value of specific electric loading, then synchronous reactance will also increase. When we go for higher value of specific electric loading, the leakage reactance and the reactance because of armature reaction both increase, and ultimately our synchronous reactance will increase. Now the effect of increased synchronous reactance at the several point. We know that power generated or synchronizing power, that is inversely proportional to the synchronous reactance, and at the same time if reactance is increased, then voltage drop will also increase and our voltage regulation will be poor, or we can say that voltage regulation will be down. At the same time, stability, the capacity of the system to remain stable, that depends on the maximum power, and maximum power is dependent on the synchronous reactance. So power generated will be less and stability of the system will reduce. At the same time, short circuit current, that is an advantage. If synchronous reactance increase, our short circuit current will reduce. So these are some of the advantage as well as disadvantage of synchronous reactance. In general, we have seen that some of the factors are recommended, that higher specific electric loading and some of the factors recommends for less value of specific magnetic loading. So again, it is up to designer, and if we see some of the typical values, then we can say that in case of turbo alternator, we can go for 50,000 to 75,000 ampere per meter specific electric loading. In case of salient type of machine, we can go from 20,000 to 40,000 ampere meter. So this is all about specific electric as well as specific electric magnetic as well as specific electric loading. Thank you for watching my video. Keep watching. Thank you very much.